All right, cool down for September and October. Wrist flexion and extension. It's a great one to do first because I always first do the first couple standing so their heart rates can continue to come down before they sit. But second, it's so easy to jump right into it while they're still like, they might want to still walk around and get under the fans or like, and it's such an easy one. They can do it while they're just even like still walking around. So it's such a good one for the first one, but it's like the most simple, conceptually simple thing. Wrist flexion and extension. So you can do either one first. I don't care. There's not a rhyme or reason to it. So pick one. Anyway, um, when you're going down, they do need to add. Well, they can just do this if they want, but if they want to add a little intensity, they want to make sure they're not pulling the fingers back, but they're actually going from the knuckle or higher to add the push there. And then this one, same thing. They're not pulling back. This is really important. I learned it at a Silver Sneakers workshop. But not. This is a little too much pulling on the tendons and ligaments of like through the hand and fingers. So they want to be like kind of pushing back from those big knuckles here. Okay, so 15 seconds each hand, each position on each arm. So 15 seconds here, 15 seconds here. This side, 15 seconds here, 15 seconds here. Try it yourself. It actually feels like really, really good. It really does. And wrists are really common for, it's really common for seniors to have wrist injuries and weaknesses and low mobility. You might be surprised to see a lot of our seniors can't go past like here or here because that tends to really stiffen up as we age. So 2 months of loosening that up could be really beneficial. Okay, calf stretch is the next one. So we did wrists, small joints. Let's keep that going with calves. Pretty straightforward. Now I will teach you something I learned at a senior workshop. This really, oh my God, this really standard, sorry if I'm making anyone dizzy, calf stretch that we probably all do, putting your foot up on something like this, it's a relative contraindication for seniors. Not an absolute contraindication. Remember, absolute means that nobody over X age should do it. Relative means it's highly recommended against. I don't know, is that proper phrasing? But it means it's, there are exceptions to that. So I would say anyone who can handle the intensity of our Defy workouts, it's probably safe they probably have strong enough ankles to do this one. But the reason it's an contraindication is because this kind of forces a really deep stretch into that calf and into the Achilles tendon. Because when you do this, you are forcing a pretty intense stretch. So they recommended only doing this type of stretch, but like I don't feel shit when I do this, to be honest. Like, I mean, but I'm not 75, but like I don't feel anything with this. So I to feel anything in my calf, I have to do this stretch. So you can show them both and they can decide which one they'd like to do. I think that's probably the best recommendation. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, 20 seconds each leg. Then we go onto the floor. Supine piriformis stretch. Right into an isometric abduction. Yeah, stretch. Now I have those listed one after another because that's the way a list works. But I'm going to show you the way I'm going to recommend we do this. I'm recommending you start on one side and do the 2 back to back, and then go to the other side and then do the 2 back to back. It's going to feel really good that way. And I'll show you why. Okay, so the supine piriformis stretch is lying on your back. Okay, and so we're going to run into some people doing this one wrong, so correct them when you see it. So one leg is straight out, the other leg is pulled in, and all we're doing is crossing the body with that leg until they feel a stretch kind of through here up into the piriformis, but keeping that side of the hip on the floor. So we're not doing like we're not pulling so hard that our hips are coming up. This was one we had in the team workout, like, a very long time ago, and I forgot what they had called it, but if you keep your hip on the floor and just pull the knee over, it shouldn't take too far to feel it. if you're trying to keep this hip on the floor. Now, if I start rotating and twisting, then I can come like all the way over, but that's not what we're not going, that's not what we're going for here. Hope that's all making sense. So cue them how to do that properly. Pull the knee in and then just over without letting this butt come off the floor and rolling your hips. Once you find that stretch, we're going to hold it. As the coach, you'll time this for 20 seconds. Now, that isometric abduction stretch, you go right into it on the same side, is then opening this leg. And I'm flexible enough to hold my ankle here. I don't know if many people will be. So you can show them, you can tell them my knee's not on the floor, but I'm holding my leg up with my ankle. Other people might need to like put the foot on the floor. See now my foot's on the floor and just kind of cradle the knee in my hand. But whatever, however it works for each individual. Now we're doing an open abduction stretch. Or they can put a little pressure, keeping that leg out. Again, I'm kind of more flexible, so I can actually like grab my ankle. 20 seconds here. So other side, I won't do the whole, but from this side, so you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm crossing the midline of my body with my knee, but I'm not doing a full turn in my hips, right? 20 seconds here. And then opening this side. Like again, I'm more flexible, so I can grab my ankle. Other people might need to put their foot on the floor and just kind of hold on to the knee a little bit. Good in for that stretch in here. So I know that was like a long demo, but I just really wanted to give the visual and explain how to do that. Try it yourself before you just jump into your first session. That would be my recommendation. Now, people who can't get onto the floor though, what do we do, right? For those two. So a seated hip stretch for the first one, that's our alternative for a lot of like piriformis stretches. This is such a great one. So they will sit. Sorry, I'm just checking that this is being recorded. Oh God, I thought it wasn't. And I was like, oh my God, start from the beginning. Seated hip stretch, one leg up. This is the alternative for the piriformis stretch. So one leg up and lean forward. So we'll do 20 seconds here. And then the alternative for that abduction stretch, what did I call this though? Oh God, what did I do? I did something. I called it, a seated step out with a lean, and I'll show you why. Because they take a big step out. I used to do this, Jess, you might remember this. I used to do this with my silver sneakers. Big step out as wide as they can, and then they kind of lean over the gap, and they'll feel that inner thigh. It really feels very similar to lying on the floor and pulling that leg out like we did. And then they'll switch sides just like the rest of the group is doing. Other leg up. And then when they switch to the other one, big step out, leaning over the gap. So those are those two, kind of putting them together into a nice little sequence. Yeah, I made that face because it was kind of a long explanation, but it's a really good sequence, those two things together. Okay, blah. Next one's easy. Oh, I still needed that. Double knee hug. They'll already be on the floor. This one's very straightforward, again, like conceptually. So they'll be finishing up, this one with that one leg and then double knee hug. It's exactly what it sounds like. They can try to tell them not to link their fingers, that we don't want to reduce any blood flow to the fingers, so they can, reach over and grab their wrist or whatever. Some people will be able to get their hands on the outside of their knee if they're bigger or maybe not as flexible. They can, and so they can't wrap their arms around their legs like that. They can reach under I call it the knee pit, reach behind their knee like that and hold each leg. It doesn't matter, just hugging their knees into the chest. It's a really good spine and lower back stretch. Those of our participants who can't get onto the floor, they're instead going to do a single leg. That's going to be 30 seconds because it's both legs, so 30 seconds total. People on the chair will do 15 seconds on each leg. So they can just hug one leg in, switch sides, hug one leg in. But little caveat here, we actually if they're doing this version, we actually kind of want them to round their back now, because we're kind of going for like a spine stretch. So how often do we tell people to flatten your back, straight back? This is one where we actually want a rounded back now. So you can tell, just kind of bear hug their leg, kind of crouch down, round your back. You can joke with them. It's one of the few times we're going to tell you to round your back, so take advantage of it. And then the last one, what we've been doing recently is always ending on a foam roller thing, just to kind of get them acclimated to the foam rollers. So we're doing quads. Oh gosh, you guys all know quads, right? And we just did that big long foam roller thing with y'all. Oh, my husband's from Tennessee, so now I'm saying y'all. Okay, so we have the roller and just quads. You guys use your expertise, do any little tweaks, and because you can angle your feet. Oh God, sorry, that really hurt. Like in the right way. You can angle your feet to hit different areas of the quad. I mean, this quad is made up of 4 muscles, so there's lots of different ways you can hit them. You can turn a little bit, you can tilt, you can bend the knees to really dig in. So use your own expertise to educate them, first of all, teach them more stuff, but to hit those quads throughout the next few months in all sorts of ways. I don't have one at this gym. I think all of our 7 clubs do, though. If they don't, let me know and I will get you one, or you can order one off Amazon. It's the hand rollers. Make sure you have 1 or 2 on hand. Get it? Because anyone who can't lay down on the floor, this looks ridiculous, but they can sit and use the hand roller. The quad is the absolute easiest place on the body to use the hand roller because they just literally dig into their quad with it. So if you don't have one of those, 1 or 2 of them, let's get you some. And people can still participate in the full cool down and not feel like left out. So that's the new cool down. Let me know if you have any questions on any of these. And I think that's it. All right. I hope you enjoy coaching these new movements, and let me know if any of the participants have any issues with them. And please give me some feedback on them after your first week or 2 doing them, because that's always helpful for me as well. All right. Thanks, team.